Good morning, sir and everyone. Today we would like to present about Tabung Haji scandal. Before we start our presentation, I would like to introduce ourselves first. And I'm Mishalini. This is Darshini. This is Shafiq, and this is Yusuf.
Now I to present about the introduction. Tabung Haji was built as an amanah, a trust and a managed Muslim saving for Haji, so that the institution carry a big spiritual and financial responsibility. For many years, people trust Tabung Haji because it's a follow Islamic principle and help a million of Malaysia perform a Tabung Haji. But in 2018, the trust collapsed when the scandal came out. The public realized the real financial situation was hidden, and many feel shocked and disappointed. So, in investigation, found that the Tabung Haji actually had more liability and asset, but a dividend were still illegal. This report explained how the crisis happened, who was involved, what law we broke, what law were broke, and what the lesson nation must learn to prevent from the happen again.
Now I want to presenting about the background of the case. The first one is purpose of Tabung Haji. Tabung Haji was established to help Muslims save money safely for the Hajj pilgrimage. Its role was to collect savings and invest them in halal, Sharia compliant ventures to benefit the depositors. And then next one is strong reputation before the scandal. For many years, the public saw the Tabung Haji as a reliable and ethical institution. Its financial performance and services strengthened trust within the Muslims community. And then third one is discovery of financial mismanagement. Audits later revealed that financial reports were manipulated, profits were overstated and certain losses were hidden, and showing that the institution was not being managed responsibly. And then number four is illegal dividend and payments. Tabung Haji continued to paying hibah even when the law prohibited it. Financially insolvent institutions are not allowed to pay the dividends, but uh, the Tabung Haji still did so, give the impression that everything was normal. And then the last one is government interventions. When the problems became public, the government, Bank Negara and MAC took action by investigating, making arrests and restructuring Tabung Haji to prevent the collapse. Next, I want to presenting about the chronology case of Tabung Haji scandal from 2017 to 2025. In 2017, yearly warning signs. The auditors detected unusual financial inconsistencies. Losses were not recorded accurately, and internal concerns began to rise. Although not made by public, this year marked the beginning of the problems, and it shows early signs of poor governance. Then in 2018, the scandal was exposed. New management discovered the true financial situations and reported the misconduct. The public learned for the first time that the Tabung Haji was facing a deficit. Police reports were lodged and revealing the misuse of funds. Depositors panic and begin to questioning the safety of their savings. In 2019, arrest and lowest dividend. MACC arrested several individuals linked to the scandal. The Tabung Haji declared only 1.25% of hibah, the lowest in its history. This reflected the seriousness of the financial damage, and public confidence continued to drop. And in 2021, the Royal Commission of Inquiry, the government formed the RCI to investigate the scandal thoroughly. The RCI analyzed governance failures and recommend the reforms. They show the government's commitment to the transparency and justice. The public gained some hope that accountability would be enforced. Lastly, in 2025, continuous reforms. In years later, the reforms are still ongoing to improve their governance. Tabung Haji continues to restructuring and strengthen its financial systems. Although improvements are seen, full trust has not returned. This shows that the long-term impact of governance failures.
My part is organizational structure. So the first point is the excessive power of leadership. The chairman and top executive had too much control over decision, creating opportunities for unethical action and without proper check. And the second point is failure of financial oversight. The CFO, or we call as a Chief Financial Officer and Finance Division, did not ensure the accurate report. This allowed financial manipulation and misleading statement to continue. And the third one is the weak investment and division controls. Investment were approved without detailed risk assessment. This led to high risk and politically influenced project. And the second point is the ineffective board of directors. The board failed to question regular accounting and did not challenge management decision. Their lack of oversight contribute to the crisis. And the last point is the no stronger internal controls. Internal auditing and risk management system were weak or ignored, making it easy for mismanagement to occur undetected.
For the causes of corruption, mismanagement, here are 5 points. And the first point was a political influence and pressure. This means executives were pressured to declare high dividends for political image building even when finances were poor. This caused the falsification of records. And the second point was manipulate financial statements. This means losses and assets impairments were hidden to make the institution appear profitable. This misled the public and violated financial laws. And the third point was misuse of Yayasan Tabung Haji funds. This means Rm 22 million meant for the poor was used for political activities. This was a serious ethical and legal breach. And the fourth point was a weak governance and poor risk controls. Poor oversight, weak internal audits, and lack of accountability to grow for years without decision detection. And the last point was professional and abuse of power. This means some leaders allegedly accept bribes and benefited from contract, prioritizing personal gain over public trust and religious responsibilities. For the effect and impact, here are 5 points. First one is a collapse of public trust. This means depositors felt betrayed emotionally and spiritually. For many, TH is linked to religious duty, so the scandal was deeply upsetting. And next, panic withdrawals and liquidity risk. This means many depositors withdraw their savings due to fear creating financial instability and risking a bank run. And next was a damage to Malaysia Islamic finance image. This was the scandal affected Malaysia's reputations as a global leader in Islamic finance because its low weakness in governance. And next, huge government financial burden. This means the government had to rescue the DH by absorbing RM 19.9 billion base assets costing taxpayers billions. And the last point was forced institutional restructuring. This means TH had to implement Tabung Haji had to implement major reforms including new systems, new leadership, and strict risk management. Next, stakeholders analysis. Here are 5 points of it. First one is the depositors. They face fear of uncertainty and distrust. Many withdraws funds affecting their Haji plans and financial stability. And then second point is employees. This means staff morale dropped as they faced audits, restructuring, and public criticism, even though not at all were involved in wrongdoing. And next was a government. Government faced pressure to act quickly, take responsibilities, and guarantees savings to prevent mass withdrawals. And next was Islamic finance sector. This means the scandal caused the public to question whether other Islamic institutes were also vulnerable to corruption. And lastly is the regulators and authorities. This means BNC, MACC, and MOF had to increase enforcement, revise rules, and improve oversight of government-linked institutions.
And my part. So my part is law involves the action taken. So the Tabung Haji scandal involves several important laws that guided the government's investigation, the action taken to fix the situation. One of the first law breached was the Tabung Haji Act 1995, where the previous management declared dividend even thought the fund was actually insolvent, which is clearly against Section 22. This discovery led to a complete review of Tabung Haji finance. The MACC Act 2009 also came into play because some leaders were suspected to abusing their power and accepting bribes related to investment approvals, and several of them were later arrested and charged. Investigators also use the penal code, especially law related to criminal breach of trust and cheating, after finding that financial statements had been manipulated and funds were misused. So the Anti-Money Laundering Act was triggered as well due to the suspicious money movements that raised concerns. To save the situation from collapsing, the government set up the Urus Harta Jamaah to take over 19.9 billion worth of weak assets, which helped stabilize Tabung Haji finance position. The government also guaranteed all depositors saving to stop panic withdrawals. Finally, Whistleblower Protecting Act become more important, encouraging employees to report wrongdoing safely through improved internal channels.
Next, I want to presenting about the integrity and ethical analysis of the Tabung Haji scandal. The first one is amanah violated. Tabung Haji carries a scared duty because it manages Hajj savings, which are tied to religious responsibility. When leaders are manipulated the financial information and continue to paying the hibah illegally, they broke this amanah. This was both a moral and spiritual failure, as the depositors trusted the institution to safeguard their money with the honesty. And then the second one is lack of transparency. Integrity requires openness, but the Tabung Haji manages to hide losses and overstated the profits. This lack of transparency prevented the public, regulators, and even employees from knowing the real financial condition. When information is hidden, corruption becomes easier to commit and much harder to detect. And then the third one is ethical leadership failure. The scandal revealed that top leaders did not follow the ethical or Islamic principles. Decisions were influenced by political pressure and personal interest, not only by honesty or responsibility. This failure of leadership created a culture where the unethical behavior was normalized. And then number four is weak internal ethical culture. Inside the organization, employees did not feel safe to report the wrongdoing. There was no strong whistleblower system, and many feared consequences if they spoke up. This weak ethical culture allowed the misconduct to continue without challenging for years. And then the last one is need for ethical governance. The scandal shows that strong ethical governance is essential. Tabung Haji must ensure all decisions follow the Sharia principles, transparency and accountability. Rebuilding trust requires embedding integrity into the leadership, reporting and daily operations.
The second part is a recommendation. There are several steps that can help prevent the same issues from happening again and rebuild the public trust in Tabung Haji. One of the most important improvements is strengthening governance by appointing board members who are qualified, independent, and free from political influence. Internal controls should also be improved with more frequent and transparent audits from both internal and external auditors to ensure honest and financial reporting. A strong risk management unit is also needed to carefully evaluate all major investment and ensure they follow proper finance and Sharia principles. Transparency with depositor must be prioritized, which means sharing clear finance updates and simplifying reports so the public can easily understand how their savings are being managed. Tabung Haji should also enhance its whistleblower system by providing confidently and safe ways to improve the reports and unethical behavior. Leadership training should become compulsory, especially in areas like ethics, Islamic finance, and anti-corruption to build a stronger culture of honest and responsibility. Final all recommendations from the Royal Commission of Inquiry must be followed closely with annual reviews to ensure Tabung Haji practices strong governance in the long run. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay. Next, I want to present about the lesson that learned from the case of Tabung Haji scandal. The first one is integrity must come first. The Tabung Haji scandal shows that no institutions can function effectively without their integrity. When leaders hide information, manipulate accounts, or prioritize the personal or political interest, the entire organization becomes vulnerable. Integrity must always guide the decisions, especially in institutions that manage the public funds to religious purposes. And then the second one is independent oversight is crucial. Weak monitoring allowed the financial mismanagement to continue for years. The crisis highlights that the need for strong and independent oversight from the auditors, the board and regulatory bodies. Regular checks, strict auditing and external review are essential to detect the problems early and prevent the corruption from growing. And then the third one, political influence must be controlled. One of the major lessons is that political pressure can severely damage financial institutions, and the decisions based on the political interest, such as forcing dividend payments, created long-term financial risk. Public institutions, especially religious ones, must remain the independent and free from the political interference. The next one, transparency builds trust. Transparency is a key factor in maintaining the public confidence. When information is hidden, people lose their trust quickly and it becomes extremely difficult to regain. The scandal shows that Honest reporting, open communication, and clear financial disclosures are necessary to maintain the long-term trust. The last one is ethical culture must be practical daily. The ethics should not only come from the top leadership, it must be practiced by everyone in the organization. The staffs should feel safe to report the issues, and there must be a proper channels for whistleblowing. A strong ethical culture helps to prevent the misconduct and ensures that the organization operates according to its values and responsibilities.
And last is about the conclusions. In the end, the scandal reminds us that serious governance weakness can damage even the most trust institutions. For a million of Malaysia, the issues feel like a betrayal because the tabung haji have saving were supposed to be managed with honestly and care. So the government respond, thought the RCI audits and major restructuring was an important step to restore stability and justice. But the work doesn't stop there. The long-term recovery depend on the continuous reform, the stronger governments, and full transparency. For ultimately, the integrating is the foundation of any public institutions. Only with ethical leadership and responsible management can public trust be rebuilt and protected for the future generations.